Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deha Koreyena Chaitanya Varnana.
Jaya Jaya Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deha Koreyena Chaitanya Varnana.
So Hare Krishna and a hearty welcome to all of you again who just arrived. And we are going to continue our discussion on chapter 4 of Adi Lila entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. And so far we have gotten a beautiful insight into the real nature of Krishna's appearance, right? Why he comes. And when he comes, he does something really spectacular. That in his exchange with his devotees, what does he do? He even transcends worldly, moral and religious duties. Dharma chhadi rage duno koreya milan. Verse number 31. So they even transcend worldly moral duties and obligations and moral codes. And last time we discussed in great detail that ultimately, who are these moral codes for? Are these for conditioned souls or those who have transcended the modes of material nature? Who are these moral codes for?
Conditioned souls.
Yes. And for those who have transcended their material conditioning, their material desires, and they have no interest in material activities, for them, do those codes really apply? And is God beyond these modes? Yes. And which energy accompanies the Lord, or what in the conditioned stage we are influenced by Mahamaya. But the same energy in the spiritual world is Yogamaya. And that facilitates the loving exchanges of God and His associates. And it makes God forget His supreme nature, and the devotees forget the Lord's absolute standing. So otherwise, if our relationships are overwhelmed by feelings of greatness, then what will happen? What will happen?
It will be a formal relationship.
Yeah, it will be formal. Right? There will be less, spontaneous exchanges. You think twice before saying something. So a lot of formality. But Krishna is not pleased by that, as we have already learned. And ultimately Krishna comes to display these beautiful pastimes. For what? Yes, to attract us and to show His mercy. In verse number 34, we read that Krishna manifests His eternal human-like form and performs His pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. And once we hear these beautiful pastimes, then what should we do? What should we do? Yes, we should. One should engage in service to Him. This is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33.36. That's text number 34. It's from the Bhagavatam. And Kaviraj Goswami, he says, in 35, that the verb bhave, which is the imperative mood, tells us that this certainly must be done. What should certainly be done? Yes, one should engage in the service of the Lord. That should certainly be done. And non-compliance would be abandonment of duty. So Prabhupada writes that this is applicable, this imperative is applicable to the pure devotees. So when pure devotees hear this, what is expected? What is expected that they will do? Yes, they will engage in the service of the Lord. And Prabhupada says neophytes will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulated devotional service under the expert guidance of the spiritual master. So, most of us will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulated devotional service, which is sadhana bhakti, under the guidance of the spiritual master. Then they will be competent to hear of the love affairs of Radha and Krishna. So right now, are we competent to hear? Govind Lila Amrit? No. But it is not that door is completely shut for us. That opportunity doesn't exist for us. But we have to qualify. So just so wonderfully. And then Prabhupada writes, I'll just read a few of these lines from the purport. He says, as long as one is in the material conditioned life, strict discipline is required in the matter of moral and immoral activities. So we shouldn't think that just because we are practicing devotional service, we can be immoral. And in the name of seva, Prabhu, seva ke liye to hai. But maybe we are just serving our own concocted desires. So, but the absolute world is transcendental and free from such distinctions, because there inebriety is not possible. What does this word mean? Do you know? Look up the dictionary. Huh?
Unethical.
Yes. Like unethical deviations are not possible there. Why? Now, what's the real difference between the spiritual world and the material one? one of the core differences is what Prabhupada is writing here. He says, but in this material world, a sexual appetite necessitates distinction between moral and immoral conduct. That means what? When we are inflicted by lusty desires, then we need to be regulated. If there's no regulation, then what will happen? What will happen?
It's equivalent to animal life.
Yes, we will all degrade into animal life. And Prabhupada says there are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. That means there are no lusty, selfish activities in the spiritual world. The transactions between lover and beloved in the spiritual world are pure transcendental love and unadulterated bliss. So, the loving exchanges in the spiritual world, they are devoid of any selfish desires and motives. And we will, this is one of the main themes of this chapter. We will see how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami brilliantly discusses what is love and what is lust. Later on we will learn in this chapter. And then Prabhupada says that one who has not been attracted by the transcendental beauty of ras will certainly be dragged down into material attraction, thus to act in material contamination and progress to the darkest region of hellish life. So if you are not attracted to our ras with Krishna, so what will we be attracted to? Material relationships. So Prabhupada writes in this purport so beautifully. He says, by understanding the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, one is freed from the grip of attraction to material so-called love between man and woman. Okay. And this is the gift of this chapter. Is that once we understand in tattva, in detail, the siddhanta behind this love between Radha and Krishna, what is it exactly? Then we will appreciate and we'll be inspired by this love. And this is what Kaviraj Goswami is going to, this is his objective, to inspire us to be attracted by this ras. Otherwise, there's no future for us. And see, Prabhupada says, similarly, one who understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection. So beautiful. Mataji, ab aa jaiye. Please come. You're sitting on the floor there. No, come here na, Mataji. So you see, in this world, people are so caught up in mundane family life. My child, my son, mera beta, meri beti, mera pota, mera, just so whole life goes. Bhagwan, samay nahi. How? Because all energy is all sucked up. Into mundane material relationships. We don't even know who the son is, or who the daughter is, or who am I. And we're so entrenched in that affection and that knot, just completely tied up. And what is Prabhupada saying? That if we understand the nature of the pure love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna, then we become freed from this kind of affection in this world.
Prabhuji, but
Yes,
also,
and then Prabhupada says, if one accepts Krishna as the supreme friend, the attraction of material friendship will be finished for him, and he will not be dismayed by so-called friendship with mundane wranglers. If he is not attracted by servitorship to Krishna, he will no longer, if he is attracted by servitorship to Krishna, he will no longer have to serve the material body in the degraded status of material existence with the false hope of becoming master in the future. So even the servant, when he's serving, is thinking, one day I will have my chance. I will be there, and there will be people who will be serving me. Because who wants to eternally remain a servant in this material world? Does anyone? No. Prabhupada says, from Brahma to the ant, we are all inflicted by this desire to be the controller and to be the enjoyer. Aham Ishvara, Aham Bhogi, the Gita says. If one is not attracted by the transcendental nature of Krishna, one is sure to be attracted to material enjoyment, thus to become implicated in the clinging network of virtuous and sinful activities, and to continue material existence by transmigrating from one material body to another. Only in Krishna consciousness one can achieve the highest perfection of life. So this may sound strong, this may sound even harsh to some people, but this is the nature of material relationships, that we cannot ignore the temporary nature of these relationships, and how ultimately if our relationships are just based on material desires, then they become very complex, they become very entangling, and they degrade us ultimately, and they really distract us from the real purpose of human life. So does this mean that all relationships are bad? That we should give up everything? We have to learn the real art of relationships. And our whole philosophy, Krishna consciousness is what? What is Krishna consciousness?
Building relationship, creating relationship, reviving relationship.
With whom?
Krishna.
With Krishna. Okay, so is it just Krishna and me?
No. Krishna.
What does Krishna include?
Krishna includes his paraphernalia.
his devotees.
His
All
associates,
associates,
devotees.
all living entities in fact.
Yeah, everyone. Right? Krishna includes everything. So, Krishna consciousness is the science of relationships. How to have real, deep, meaningful relationships that also liberate us, that bring out the best in us, that utilize our real potential. And that's only possible when who is in the center? And Krishna is in the center of the relationship. It's only possible. Otherwise, with our egotistic desires in the center, even the most intimate relationships in this world become the ugliest relationships. Yes or no? We all either have first-hand experience of that, or we know someone who's had that experience. So now, Prabhu, you hear.
Prabhu, just one question out of curiosity. That
Yes.
Yashoda Maiya and Nand Baba, they were in pure loving service to Krishna.
Yes.
But as a son, right? They were not considering him as a god.
Yes.
And it is understandable because our
They understood that he was special.
he was special.
But if you're a parent and imagine suddenly you come to know that your son is God, then what will happen to that relationship? Will that parent be able to be a parent in the right bhav?
No, it will
Huh?
change. It will change.
It will?
Change.
Yeah, it become again, they'll be thinking, should I chastise him or not? So the whole, the natural relationship between parent and a child, it will not happen. How will that experience, how will that ras actually take place? It can't. So for them to really enjoy this ras, then they have to forget that he's God, and that that Krishna is their son, they are the parent, they are responsible for him, and not that he's God and God is responsible for us. Okay. So now we are going to get into why Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu comes. So we discussed why Krishna comes. He comes to have a great time with his associates, to attract us and to be merciful unto us. Prabhupada says, he gives us a peep into the invisible Vraj. He says in, I think which purport? In one of the purports he says, he allows us to get a sense of what it is, what the spiritual world is, by displaying these beautiful relationships for us. So this is his mercy. And now let's see why Caitanya Mahaprabhu comes. Let's see what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says. So he says in verses 36 and 37. So he says, just as these desires are the fundamental reason for Krishna's appearance, whereas destroying the demons is only an incidental necessity. So just like Krishna, he comes to fulfill his own desires to exchange in loving relationships, and killing of the demons is incidental. Similarly, we will chant verse number 37. Ei Mata Chaitanya Krishna Purna Bhagavan, Yuga Dharma Pravartana Nahi Tanra Kama. So for Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, promulgating the dharma of the age is incidental. So we just read one of the three principal reasons. One of the principal reasons is to establish Yuga Dharma, the Nam Sankirtan. And now we are reading that is incidental. That's a side business. That's not the real purpose for what he's come. Okay. So when the Lord desired to appear for another reason, what happened? Coincidentally, the time for inaugurating and spreading the religion of the age also arose. So it just happened as a chance that the Lord had desire, and similarly, the time had come to establish the Nam Sankirtan, the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj says that thus with two intentions the Lord appeared with his devotees. So what are those two intentions?
Is to
Congregational
release the
chanting
love of
Yes.
and the love of Godhead.
Okay. Yes. To taste the nectar of prema and spread the congregational chanting of the holy name. And in verse number 40, let's chant verse number 40. Sei dwara achandale kirtana saichare. Sei dware achandale kirtana sanchare. Nama preme malaganthi porailo samsare. Nama prema malaganthi porailo samsare. So thus he spread kirtan even among the untouchables. Achandale. Kirtana Saichare. Right? He infused. And what? Nama Prema Malaganti. Right? He wove a wreath of the holy name and prema. And he garlanded the entire material world. Such a beautiful description. So imagine this rotten, temporary material world. Now it is being garlanded by what? Yes, by the wreath of the holy name, accompanied with the love of Godhead. And Ei Mata Bhakta Bhava Kori Angikara. Ei Mata Bhakta Bhava Kori Angikara. Apani Achari Bhakti Korilo Prachara. Apani Achari Bhakti Korilo Prachara. In this way, assuming the sentiment of a devotee, he preached devotional service while practicing it himself. So he came in a mood to really give, liberally give, the most confidential praying for the Lord. And how is he going to do that?
By showing himself as example.
By practicing and demonstrating by his example. And this is what makes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so magnanimous. See, this whole purport, Prabhupada really gets into why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. This form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's super special. Because why? He's saying that when Rupa Goswami met Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag, he offered his respectful obeisance by submitting that Lord Caitanya was more magnanimous than any other avatar of Krishna because he was distributing love of Krishna. Prabhupada says his mission was to enhance love of Godhead. In the human form of life, the highest achievement is to attain the platform of love of Godhead. Lord Caitanya did not invent a system of religion as people sometimes assume. And Prabhupada says religious systems are meant to show the existence of God, who is then generally approached as the cosmic order supplier. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental mission is to distribute love of Godhead to everyone. Anyone who accepts God as the Supreme can take to the process of chanting Hare Krishna and become a lover of God. Therefore, Lord Caitanya is most magnanimous. And he ends this paragraph by saying that this munificent broadcasting of devotional service is possible for whom? Only Krishna himself. And therefore Lord Caitanya is who? Krishna. Okay. He is Krishna teaching his own service from the position of a devotee. The Lord's acceptance of the role of a devotee in the eternal form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is another of the Lord's wonderful features, that he takes the position of a devotee. A conditioned soul cannot reach the absolute personality of Godhead by his imperfect endeavor, and therefore it is wonderful that Lord Sri Krishna in the form of Lord Gauranga has made it easy for everyone to approach him. Can you see, can you feel the love that Srila Prabhupada has for Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? How he expresses these amazing truths with so much devotion and so much faith. And now we will get, for the first time in the purport, we'll get the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. So Swarup Damodar has described Lord Chaitanya as Krishna himself with the attitude of Radha Rani, or a combination of Radha and Krishna. The intention of Lord Chaitanya is to taste Krishna's sweetness in transcendental love. He does not care to think of himself as Krishna because he wants the position of Radharani. So far, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in one of the verses before, has said yes, why he has taken a golden form, because he is in the mood of Radharani. But he has not conveyed this truth as yet, that what's he actually come for? He's come to take the position of Radharani, to taste Krishna's sweetness in transcendental love. So it's the first time we're getting this revelation. So now Prabhupada, in the rest of the purport, he says that there are many different groups of devotees, and one of the two groups he's saying Nadia Nagaris or Gaura Nagaris, and their attitude towards Lord Chaitanya is what? No. They accept Lord Chaitanya as Krishna, and they accept themselves in the mood of the gopis, and they want to offer themselves in the mood of the gopis to Lord Chaitanya, who they think he is Krishna. But Prabhupada writes in this purport that this is not the right understanding, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come in the mood of Radharani. And Prabhupada says in the last purport, he says, Lord Chaitanya has accepted the role of Radharani, and we should support that position as Swarup Damodar did in the Gambhira. He always reminded Lord Chaitanya of Radha's feelings of separation as they are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Lord Chaitanya appreciated his assistance. But the Gaura Nagaris, who place Lord Chaitanya in the position of the enjoyer and themselves as is enjoyed, are not approved by Lord Chaitanya or by Lord Chaitanya's followers. So when we adopt this wrong mood, then we will not get the blessings of this process. Yes, the two. So we should not mix up. Prabhupada concludes the purport. He said we should not mix up, the position. Okay.
Sorry, I missed. We should not mix up the position of
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
and
So no, we shouldn't think that he is. We shouldn't put him in the position of Krishna or in Krishna's mood. Now in the next few verses.
When things are so clearly written, mentioned by Kaviraj Goswami, why such confusions happen over very small things, right? Forget about different sort of spiritual organizations we have, right? But here also in one simple thing, the confusion is happening. Why does that happen?
You'll be surprised how much confusion there is.
Yeah, I can understand. This is only one thing.
Because I also have a question regarding this. Are there any people who actually consider Mahaprabhu as Krishna instead of considering?
So he just said, Gaura Nagaris. There's a group.
Okay.
Nadia Nagaris and Gaura Nagaris. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. So there's a group like that.
No, I'm just trying to say that this was the first time that I actually read when I'm asking.
No, there are people who worship. Now, why is that? There's so much confusion over so many different things. Why do you think there is confusion?
Because people don't read.
Maybe they're not following the right parampara.
Yeah, the parampara.
And they're not following
The
the right
information is
parampara.
maybe getting.
And you also made point in one of your class that it's a very confidential thing and it's revealed only to people who are blessed with the by the mercy of the spiritual master it gets revealed.
So, why do we have this tendency to transgress?
Comfort. Maybe
Okay.
because of the comfort, right?
Okay, could
I'm
be.
not able to accept something, so I create another theory.
Yeah.
I'm able to
the-
relate to. Yeah.
So many times, our own concocted desires, our own, immature understanding, our own unwillingness to accept what the parampara is giving. Or we can just simply be misguided by people who have this agenda. And that's why Prabhupada always said that we shouldn't be blind followers. We shouldn't be blind followers. And it is for this purpose he spent majority of his time giving priority to translating the Shastra, the Gita, the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we could understand and be clear about the Siddhanta and not be blind followers. This is one of the great contributions of Srila Prabhupada, that he didn't want temples just, people come and take darshan, and just offer a little bit in charity and thoda sa charan amrit piya, or pujari ko give him dakshina and go back. What transformation will take place? Yes, we will benefit from that, but that benefit, we'll go again outside, again, Maya will. So we will basically all the sukriti that we got, we'll go and destroy that in few minutes, few hours. So Prabhupada's whole idea was that this is an educational center. ISKCON temples should be educational centers where we have people who are practicing sincerely and distributing this knowledge without any deviation. So that people can understand the science. And the more we'll study, it's amazing science. Starting from the Gita. The Gita itself has so many layers of deep meaning. Just to understand the Gita only, it's not easy. It's not easy. But when we take the shelter of Mahaprabhu, as we've been reading the beginning of every chapter, that and you really think about it, that Vedic knowledge or even Hinduism can be so, it's so vast. And because it's so vast and it's also inclusive, sometimes it's also very confusing. What is what? Who's who? No one, kya kare? Who should we worship? Where should we place our faith? What kind of sacrifice should we do? So many, sacrifices are there, so many mantras are there, so many, great acharyas are there. What to do? And sometimes there's conflicting philosophies. So that's why we see in the Bhagavatam, it's one of the questions of the sages that, O Vyasadeva, you've written, such vast literature, and you just give us the essence now. We don't want all the details. You have to tell us the essence. This is one of the requests of the sages in the Bhagavatam. Because, this is also, this is one of my things about, Vedic knowledge. It's so vast that for a layman, it's almost impossible to understand anything. So many devtas, so many this, so many lokas, so many, कहाँ जाना है, कैसे जाना है, किसका शरण लेना है, so confusing. And everyone has such good arguments. So that's why the sages, they plead to Vyasadeva that please, now you have to give us the essence. So that's why we are so fortunate that we have the Bhagavatam. And if you look at it, Bhagavatam, of course that's another whole topic, but the Bhagavatam is widely accepted by most people in India. And Bhagavatam, we get the answers. Chaitanya Charitamrita is just it's a Bhagavatam going a little more deeper about Radharani's position, which is not so much revealed in the Bhagavatam because it's kept confidential. This is another. See, when something like we hear in the Gita, how difficult it is to even understand. Bahunam janmanam ante. Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudhullabha. So difficult to understand Krishna. Mama maya durattaya. Maya doesn't allow us to understand Krishna. And we become such good servants and followers of Maya. Such good experts. But we don't have a chance. Unless Krishna creates that opportunity for us. And that's how He creates this. And imagine if it's so difficult to understand Krishna, what to talk about His most confidential part of Krishna. His antaranga shakti, His internal potency by which He derives the most pleasure and which nourishes Him the most. How are going to we understand that? It's almost like, forget it. Unless Krishna comes And now he comes. He comes to reveal that confidential nature of that love in the form of Mahaprabhu. That's why Rupa Goswami is saying he's the most magnanimous. What a gift. What, like the ultimate gift, giving us access into the most confidential nature of God, His desires and His love. And now, Kaviraj Goswami, he's going to do something really brilliant. He's going to establish first the tattva of Srimati Radharani, even before he gets into all the reasons. So he says that there are 4 types of devotees who exchange different types of mellows with God. We've discussed this many times. Dāsya, Sakha, Vatsalya and Shringar Ras. And he says that actually all these rasas, they're complete on their own. They're all perfect on their own. But he says that if we compare the sentiments in an impartial mood, text number 44, we find that the conjugal sentiment is superior to all others in sweetness. Shobha rasa hoite shringhare adhika madhuri. Adhika madhuri. So, and this is supported by which scripture? Bhakti Ras Amrita Sindhu.
Prabhuji, one more statement I just want to say. This verse number 45, is actually the essence of Brihad Bhagavatam.
Yes, so let us get to that.
I could just recall that this entire verse is nothing but a summary of what we actually read in Brihad Bhagavatam.
Yes, that how
has its own potency and it has its own flavor.
So in that wonderful scripture, right, Sanatana Goswami, what does he do? He explains step by step, appreciating all types of devotees engaged in different rasas, but ultimately going step by step to the position of who? Madhurya Ras, the position of the gopis in Srimati Radharani. So Prabhupada writes that no one is higher or lower than anyone else in transcendental relationships with the Lord. So this is another thing that we should be clear. Right? Oh, Madhurya Ras, this is topmost and everything else is unimportant. Is that a mature understanding or an immature understanding? Very immature understanding. But although these relationships are absolute, there are also transcendental differences between them. Thus, the transcendental relationship of conjugal love is considered the highest perfection. Okay, and we will read why it is. And this is explained in the Nectar of Devotion, that increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love which is the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. And that love has 2 divisions, namely wedded and unwedded love, which we discussed last time. Swakiya and Parakiya. And this love is found nowhere but in Vraj. Vraj vina ihara anyantra nahi pasha.
Which verse?
This is verse number 47. And what is it that makes this love really superior to everyone? Because last time we discussed there is a great increase of mellow in unwedded conjugal mood. We discussed last time. And this, let us recite verse number 48. Vrajavadhu gane re bhava niravadhi Tara modhe Shri Radhaya bhaver avadhi This mood is unbounded in the damsels of Raj, but among them it finds its perfection. Tara modhe Shri Radhaya bhavera avadhi. That means it reaches the highest limit. In whom? In Srimati Radharani. So the conjugal love, in its highest limit, it's experienced by Srimati Radharani. And her pure, mature love surpasses that of all others. It says, Pradha nirmala bhava prema sarvotama Krishnera madhurya rasa asvadha karana So her pure love and mature love surpasses that of all others. And now listen to this. He says that her love is the cause of Lord Krishna's tasting the sweetness of the conjugal relationship. So such an important revelation. That how does or what makes Krishna enjoy this ras? Why? What is it? What is the reason for Krishna, enjoying this ras? Yeah, it is the love of Srimati Radharani. So therefore Lord Gauranga, who is Sri Hari himself, accepted the sentiments of Radha and thus fulfilled his own desires. Now we are getting closer into who, in what mood does Gauranga Mahaprabhu come and how the Lord fulfills his own desires in the form of Lord Gauranga. And some of these things we already discussed last time. When we discussed the Parakya Ras, I'd already taken most of the purports from here as well, the statements. And this is in the first, second, third, fourth, in the third paragraph. This is where Prabhupada writes this, the last two lines of the third paragraph. It is further stated here that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Parikya sentiment exists only in the transcendental realm and nowhere else. This highest form of ecstasy can exist only in the most confidential part of the transcendental world. But by the causeless mercy of the Lord, we can have a peep into that invisible Raj. And then Prabhupada writes that he says, the transcendental mellow relished by the gopis in Braj is super excellently featured in Srimati Radharani. Mature assimilation of the transcendental humor of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani, whose feelings are incomprehensible even to the Lord Himself. The intensity of her loving service is the highest form of ecstasy. No one can surpass Srimati Radharani in relishing the qualities of the Lord through His supreme transcendental mellow. Therefore, the Lord Himself agreed to assume the position of Radharani in the form of Lord Gauranga. He then relished the highest position of Parakya Ras as exhibited in the transcendental abode of Raj.
So basically, Lord wanted to experience the Vikya Ras in the highest form.
Yes, very nice. And some other things as well. It will be revealed. But that is the essence. And now, Kaviraj Goswami shares these two beautiful verses from the Sri Caitanya Ashtaka and from the Stava Mala of Srila Rupa Goswami to assert what he is saying and to enhance what he is saying or what he has just said. And it's explained that Lord Caitanya is a shelter of the demigods, the goal of the Upanishads, and the be-all and end-all of the great sages, the beautiful shelter of his devotees, and the essence of the love of the lotus-eyed devotees. This is the position of Lord Caitanya. Will he again be the object of my vision? So the Rupa Goswami is praying. And he says in the second verse that Lord Krishna desired to taste the limitless nectarian mellows of the love of his multitude of loving damsels, Sri Radha. And so he has assumed the form of Lord Caitanya. He has tasted that love while hiding his own dark complexion with her effulgent yellow color. May that Lord Caitanya confer upon us his grace. So beautiful. And now he says that to accept ecstatic love is the main reason he appeared and re-established the religious system for this age. So what's the main reason? To accept the ecstatic love of whom? Yes. And now he says, I shall now explain that reason. Suno sarvajan. Now everyone here. So 53 verses have gone. Right? And now finally now he's going to get into the reasons. So he's established Srimati Radharani's position, that the Madhurya Ras has its perfection in who? Srimati Radharani. And this is just the start. Okay. So many things he's going to reveal about Srimati Radharani's position. And now he says, I have given you enough hint about the verse describing the principal reason for the Lord's appearance. And now what is he going to do in the rest of the chapter? He's going to fully manifest, or he's going to manifest its full meaning. The confidential reasons, now he's going to manifest the full meaning of the confidential reasons. And he's going to begin with what? He's going to begin with the 5th Mangala Charan. Do you want me to go further, or do you want to stop here? We have maybe 4 verses that we need to cover, but it may take another 10 minutes. You want to go, or Continue? 10 more minutes? Okay. Exactly at 1:30 we will end. Okay. So this verse is the 5th Mangala Charan. So now there are 6 verses describing whom? The first 6 verses glorifying whom? Of the Chaitanya Charitamrita glorify whom? Huh? How many Mangala Charans are there? 14. Right? So first 6 are for whom? Lord Caitanya. And this is now the 5th one, the second last one. Okay. So who's good in Sanskrit recitation? Want to try? Mataji, yes. You take the mic here. Text number.
Yes.
I don't know if देखना mic चल रहा है.
राधा कृष्ण प्रणय विक्तिर्लादिनी शक्तिरस्मत्
प्राय विकृतिरलादिनी शक्तिरस्मात्
एकात्मनव अपि भुवि पूर्देहभेदं गतौ तौ
एकात्मानवपि भुवि पुरोदेहभेदं गतौ
चैतन्याख्यं प्रक्तम् अधुना तद्वयं चैक्यम् अप्तम्
चैतन्याख्यं प्रक्तम् अधुना तद्वयं चैक्यम् अप्तम्
राधा भावद्युति सुवलितं नौमि कृष्ण स्वरूपम्
राधा भावद्युति सुवलितं नौमि कृष्ण स्वरूपम्. Thank you so much.
The first time I saw this shloka, Prabhuji.
First time you saw this shloka? This shloka is often quoted, but because it's not so easy to recite.
This is part of the confidential knowledge. Maybe that is the reason.
So for us, Kali Yuga, like souls, we are so happy that we have the translation. Otherwise, so ये तो शुरुआत भी नहीं होती. I mean, this verse, not easy Sanskrit, but this text is from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. And in that, he is revealing the identity of Srimati Radharani. And he's revealing the identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by explaining that how Radha and Krishna have come together in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is who? Krishna. And whose bhav does he have? Yeah. So physically he is Krishna, but the bhav? Radharani. And because he has the bhav, even his physical color is different. The color is also of Srimati Radharani. So it says, the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure potency, Yoga Maya. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. So Radha and Krishna, do they have separate identities? Huh? Yes and no. They are one. Right? There's no difference between Radha and Krishna. They are one. But what do? They separate themselves eternally. For what? For exchanging of this ras. Okay. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Okay. Let us recite a simpler version of this verse, number 56. Radha Krishna ek atma dui deha dhari.
Radha Krishna ek atma dui dehadhari.
Anyonye vilas rasa asvadan kori.
Anyonye vilas rasa asvadan kori.
Let's recite this once more. Radha Krishna ek atma dui deha dhari.
Radha Krishna ek atma dui dehadhari.
Anyone vilas rasa asvadan kori.
Anyonye vilas rasa asvadan kori.
Radha and Krishna are one and the same. Radha Krishna eka atma. But dui deha dhori. Why? Because to enjoy each other. Anyone vilasa rasa. They enjoy this ras and they taste this ras. And they can only taste it if they they separate themselves. Dui deha dhori. This is only possible at the transcendental level. So Prabhupada writes, the two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to the materialists. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these two personalities. One is enjoying in two. Krishna is the potent factor and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. So we've heard this before many times. Just like fire. When there is a fire blazing, what else you experience?
Heat.
Yeah.
And light.
Heat, light. That's inseparable. They say, Prabhu, just light a fire that thoda sa, cool rakhe hame. Is that possible? No. So impossible. So similarly, Krishna is the potent factor. And the potency who's who? Srimati Radharani. Both are inseparable. And then Prabhupada says that this you can't understand in a relative plane. He says everything in the absolute is inconceivable in relative existence. So materially we try to understand this, not possible. Therefore, in relative cognizance, it is very difficult to assimilate the truth of oneness between the potent and the potency. And this is the philosophy of the inconceivable oneness and difference propounded by Lord Caitanya is the only source of understanding such intricacies of transcendence. So simultaneously one, but yet different. So Radharani is who? She's simultaneously one with Krishna, but yet she's different. And Prabhupada says that impersonalists cannot understand this. And the only way they will be able to understand this if they get the help of a Mahabhagavat devotee. And we'll see later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita how by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even the impersonalists come to the point of appreciating devotional service. The very name Radha suggests that Srimati Radharani is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Another very, very insightful information. So who is passing on our bhakti or feelings of devotion to Krishna? Yes, Srimati Radharani. She is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavan therefore seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as the loving servitors of Sri Krishna. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. Okay. The highest principle of transcendental loving relationships with the Lord. And the last paragraph is beautifully explaining the three components of Yogamaya and what are their functions. So Prabhupada explains that his internal potency is exhibited first as Sat. Right? So we hear Sat Chit Ananda. Right? That the Lord is the embodiment of Sat, Chit and Ananda. So Yogamaya, three components. Sat, which is, in other words, the portion that expands the existence function of the Lord. That means what? The portion
which says that he is eternally.
Yes.
Exists.
Maintains the Lord's existence eternally. Okay. When the same potency displays full knowledge, it is called Chit or Samvid, which expands the transcendental forms of the Lord. So this is the potency by the Lord knows himself and us. This is the knowledge potency. One is the existence potency, the second is the knowledge potency. Samvid. And the same potency plays as a pleasure-giving medium that is known as Ladini, or the transcendental blissful potency. Thus the Lord manifests his internal potency in three transcendental divisions. Okay. So we'll stop here today, and there's wonderful deep insights into this potency of the Lord and the position of Srimati Radharani and her love. So many amazing things we will learn in the coming verses. So thank you all very much for hearing patiently this information, this amazing realizations of the Acharyas, which are way beyond what I can share with you, but I'm just theoretically doing this so that we can all discuss and have a better understanding. Okay. So now you can share your realizations or ask any questions.